Following a series of cryptic and interesting story posts, as well as a few audio transmissions on Instagram, Aesop Rock dropped the track The Gates. The Gates is meant to be the first single for his upcoming album, Spirit World Field Guide. Not much has been said about this album, but a lot of people are thinking that it's going to be a concept album of sorts. Maybe him leaving whatever cabin he's been in for the last however many years, and seeing that the world around him is now just the spirit world. And it's just going to have him surviving it, I guess. We'll see. Anyways, he dropped the track The Gates. Let's go bar for bar and break down these lyrics. I was at the gates. Ram's legs, my pizza black, my plant's dead. My planet X, I might bleed green. I'm what's under the uncut chia seed. I'm what from the guillotine. A little flea and tick, a little fever dream. A little plead the fifth, roadkill, I'm off the leash. So with this bit, he was at the gates. What gates? Not too sure. Maybe the gates of the spirit world. Just given that this album is going to be Spirit World Field Guide. So Ram's legs, that is often a theme used kind of in the spirit world, you could say. I'm thinking what he means here is like the gates of maybe hell. So Ram's legs could be seen as the devil's legs. His pizza's black because he's in hell. It's hot. His plants are dead. Everything is dead around hell. And this could also just be in general, like what's going on in the world. Like stuff is just fucked up. My planet X, I might bleed green. Planet X is often used as this sci-fi piece. So in sci-fi, like and in real life actually, there's like this planet X that we've been looking for essentially. And as far as sci-fi goes, that's just like a random planet that is always chosen. So maybe he's saying he's from planet X and he's bleeding green because we don't know if aliens bleed the same color as our blood. I think him saying I'm what from the guillotine is more like his reaction to the guillotine. So if he is going into this underworld sort of thing, oftentimes it's depicted that people are constantly in a state of suffering. So maybe him seeing the guillotine and they're taking him there and he's just like, oh, what's happening? A little flea and tick, a little fever dream. He's thinking to himself, oh, this must be just some sort of fever dream. Like this isn't actually what's happening. I don't heal and I'm hung from an unkind mobile. It turned one misstep into bone meal. He doesn't heal. So heal meaning like you're telling your dog to heal, meaning stop and just sit down. But it also is a play on words. Like he doesn't heal physically. And he's hung from an unkind mobile. Again, referring to the hellish landscape that he's found himself in. So he's not going to heal from, well, the guillotine, but also like he's being hung. Like he's not going to heal from that, but he's also not dead because he's in the underworld. And it's an unkind mobile because, I mean, obviously you can just have it look like you're hanging from a tree or something, or from gallows or something, but he's putting it in more in a way that's like almost comical. Like, I mean, hell, the devil might just want to have fun and have you spinning around while you're being hung. Look, daybreak, I'm lights out, my kind sleeps upside down. He's talking about vampires and bats. But also just, I guess, people in general who tend to thrive at night. It's sci-fi, red tide in my high and by, make record time. I go 3, 2, 1, desensitize. No lie, tell death he could get in line. K-Hellspawn, I'm no joke. I eat brains, I throw bolts. Death, Satan, the devil, still continuing on with this underworld theming. And basically he's saying, yo, wait in line, there's a bunch of other people trying to kill me, or mess with me, or at least get my attention. But I eat brains, I throw bolts. That again kind of goes into that sci-fi / horror theming. He eats brains like a zombie, but then he throws bolts. Now, bolts to me immediately makes me think of like Van Helsing using crossbow bolts to kill vampires or monsters in general. And that also kind of goes into the other line where he's talking about my kind sleeps upside down. I know easy prey, I seen broken oaths. I go marching in, I'm like, oh yo. I know a rodeo from these pony shows. I don't stay for tea, I can't slow cook the code. I go coyote alone and ghost. I'm in the goddamn smoke, ear, nose, and throat. Basically he's saying he doesn't stick around. And see what's happening. Like, that kind of also ties into the line where he's saying, my highs and by make record time. It's like, he's only around people for short periods of time and like short bursts. Like, he doesn't, like, he tends to be alone mostly, which is, I go coyote alone and ghost. So he, like a coyote, goes out into the world alone and just kind of ghosts people. He's in the smoke, meaning like he's gone with the wind. And smoke also just kind of goes in your nose and your throat. Ayo, Fresh Pop, my favorite mug. Ace Rock, my day sucked. Asian of all things, deep sixth. I feel like I was put here to keep the crypt. He kind of snapped back to reality, it seems. Or like went back inside his cabin. Or maybe this whole thing is just a metaphor for him dealing with the outside world, and then he just wants to go back home into his cabin. Asian of all things, deep sixth. That one I think is just like him talking about all the references he's already made to like hell and the underworld and stuff. Like, he is an agent of 666. I feel like I was here to keep the crypt, which, yeah, kind of ties back into that. Like, keeping, like, being a crypt keeper is like just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on, making sure the bodies don't just come up and leave out of nowhere. So, yeah, he is an agent of death, basically keeping an eye on the dead, making sure they don't become undead. I get tired of bread, I might eat the rich. I ain't seen a leader, just feed her fish. You want free weed, you want free shit. I mean, dude, this is just kind of him snapping back. Like, it could also just be him talking to somebody. He doesn't see a leader, he just sees followers. I mean, feed her fish. The line where he says, you want free weed, you want free shit. I mean, dude, this is where it sounds like he's straight up talking to somebody. And he's telling them all these things, and they're just like, I just want weed, bro. This then goes into the chorus. I was at the gates. Wolf said, my boots on, no bullshit. I know both sides of that tough love. They're both mud. That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Straight up and down. I don't even bother. I was at the gates. Snakeskin, my hood low. Don't say shit. I know both sides of that bloodlust. They're both mud, and that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Straight up and down. Or straight up and down. Don't even bother. Wolf's head is, he's like a hunter. And that again kind of ties into the Van Helsing sort of thing, even though I don't believe he had necessarily wolf skin on him or snake skin, or wolf's head, I mean. But most monster hunters will have some sort of like trophy, you could say, or like they make something out of what they've killed. So that makes sense. I'm sure there's more to that chorus though. This then goes into a second verse. Rat-tailed, my backdrop's all black sailed, dog bite, and my bird's curse. Cross-eyed, world's worst. Troglodyte, I might split the blinds. I'm like Vincent Van with that instant rice. Black sails are typically flown by pirates, but I believe it's also a sign of death on ocean, on the seas. So like when a ship kind of comes back from being out for however long they've been, they'll fly their normal sails if everything's all good, but then if they have suffered a loss, then they'll fly black sails, which makes more sense because it ties into everything else that he's been saying in the first verse. This is kind of going into that pirate theme a little bit, I think. And my bird curse, meaning I'm pretty sure he's just talking like about a parrot, because pirates don't have the best, the cleanest language, you could say. Having a parrot, which just repeats whatever it wants to hear, makes sense. Like, it's probably just going to start repeating any curse. It's going to repeat any curse words you may have said near it. Troglodytes tend to live in caves and stuff. So it could just be him talking about his normal lifestyle, which also ties into him ghosting people in the first verse. I write cryptograms at all waking hours. I tattoo the mail and all the paper towels. I'm on the kitchen walls. I may paint the house. It could reach the yard. It's omega bound. Cryptograms, I believe, means just cryptic messages. Him doing cryptograms are like just these cryptic messages. And cryptic messages is pretty much Aesop Rock's entire discography. Like, everything he says is very cryptic. Like, these are things that I'm finding at surface level. I'm sure there's so much more that's deeper in here. And he writes this at all waking hours, meaning he's constantly doing these things. I tattoo the mail and all the paper towels. Why? I think that's him just talking about his drawing. Because on Impossible Kid, he talks about how he used to draw and he used to paint and stuff. Maybe he's just using tattoo as just a different word for drawing or painting. Game face on dour days is y'all gangs like how quaint. Gangway for false starts versus freight trains through stalled cars. Shame, shit so whack, show you back to this moth jar. get out of the way for false starts because they're racing. But then they're racing versus freight trains through stalled cars. So this could be like, if you're going with more apocalyptic imagery, most people, like, say just the apocalypse happens all of a sudden, there's going to be people leaving the city. So there's a bunch of cars there. But once they get out of the cars, like, they're going to try to run away from whatever it is that's chasing them or that they're scared of. Like, what are they running from? So they're going to get out of the cars. The cars are going to be there stalled. So then it's basically you trying to drive through all these stalled cars. Like, it's kind of hard. And then you're basically following this freight train because ideally you probably want to jump on the train because that's going to keep moving. Like, you got to keep driving and, like, eventually you're going to get to a point where it's just too packed and you can't get anywhere. Death wish from day one, I wake up and it rained blood. Rain check, these fuck shows, I'm donezo, my brain's mush. He's had a death wish from day one, or people have had a death wish from day one. Basically, they're doing these crazy things that are going to get them killed eventually. I wake up and it rained blood. So, yeah, I think that's him referencing these people who have, like, this death wish. And one day, he's just going to go to sleep and wake up and everything's just red and bloody, which is kind of creepy because outside it is actually red right now. Rain check, these fuck shows, I'm donezo, my brain's mush. He's basically saying, like, I can't deal with this right now. I'll get back to y'all later. Drum roll, I might piss straight, loose teeth in my spit shake. Every possible Futurama coming trooping out of his pill case. And I ricochet in my steel cage, one still heart, and two Hill's eyes, a few meal bars, a good field knife, I feel good, no field guide. He's talking about what he has on him. Like, he has a few meal bars, he has a field knife, he feels good, but there's no field guide. So basically, he's gotten out of this cage and is now just going to roam the world, seems like. Just decide by T at 5. Once ate a whole glue stick in 2 bites. I do this. I mean, yo. Like, he could be talking to someone else, again. Like, just like in the first verse. The majority of the verse is him just talking, probably to somebody. And then someone's just like, alright. Well, anyways, just decide what you're going to do by tea time. Then he just says, once ate a glue stick in, like, 2 bites. Which doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, why would you say that? Why would you do that? And then we get back into the chorus, which is exactly the same as before. And then we go into his third verse. Bare paw, my handshake, oh dear God, bare bones, a few air holes, barefoot, my square glows, scarecrows, who goes there? He really fucked up the rhyme there, and I'm pretty sure that was intentional. Scarecrows are always there to stop things from approaching. Mostly birds and crows, but it could also just be, like, if, say, he's walking through this hellscape, there's going to be a scarecrow, which is most likely going to be there to scare other humans or whatever else is in this area away. And maybe more as a warning. I kind of think of it as, like, heads on a pike, almost. Because obviously it can literally be a scarecrow, but I don't think that's what he's going for there. A snare is, yeah, it's just a straight up trap. Like, usually, like, the type of trap that would, like, hold people up by their feet. So he's like, yo, who's where? Like, where is everyone when that snare closes? Who's watching the snare? And, I mean, a periscope is used to see at a distance, usually up and over. Mostly used in submarines, but it can definitely be used in trenches and stuff, too. Like, he hears the snare close, and he's gonna set up another trap in case they got out of it, and he's gonna keep a watch with his periscope. Or he sees something in the periscope and he's gonna set this bear trap because they're approaching. A little care package out of Where's Waldo in a rare beige, no fair at all, dyed hair and all. Push foot, I go Mach 1, I'm like whoosh whoosh. I don't pussyfoot, I make potholes, my path home is all drop zones. It sounds like it could just be like the rare beige is like a form of army clothing because he goes Mach 1. And the only things that I'm aware of that go Mach 1 are like fighter jets. He finds this, I guess, like jumpsuit for like fighter jet pilots, and he goes in. But then I don't pussyfoot on make potholes. My path home is all drop zones. That also makes sense too, because he's probably, if it is a fighter jet, he's probably firing down on the ground, which will make potholes. And then his path home is all drop zones. His path, like on his way home, he's dropping bombs, essentially. Like, so that everything on his way home dies and he can protect his home. Flashbulbs and strobe lights, road signs with crossbones, Touche from our Killjoys, who know humanoids are just hit points. Flashbulbs and strobe lights, I think, is, again, just a way to kind of fend off whatever he's fighting against. It sounds like humanoids being hit points are just, I think he's just kind of saying that the people that are put in his way or in the front lines are meant to be disposable, expendable. And cop that new heat, that new speaks all pink noise. I'm more mood piece around street food. I'm in my PJs and my snowshoes. Okay, so news speaks could also just be like news, like, or just media in general. So during all this, whatever he's hearing in the radio is just all pink noise to him. Like he's not even focusing on it. It's just background noise. About dogfights in those dungeons and little dust-ups in y'all's thrones rooms. He's talking about what's happening in people's houses. It's fun stuff. Low moon and my tombstone say hell no. Hell yeah to more hailstorms aboard ships on St. Elmo's. It's fun stuff. Like just him just, I think it's just being sarcastic. It's just like, oh, that's fun. Like all that dogfighting and all this stuff happening in your houses is fun. Hell yeah to more hailstorms aboard ships on St. Elmo's. I had to look this one up as well. St. Elmo's fire is like this, like it lights up a ship, like if it's in a high electric field, I guess. But it kind of looks like it's just glowing. My dream home has like 10,000 deadbolts and less than no windows. I mean, shit. He's basically saying his dream home is just a locked up house where no one can get in and he can just be left alone and he doesn't have to see what's happening outside. And then he goes back into the chorus. Overall, there is a lot more to this track than I'm able to decipher because Aesop Rock is never surface level with anything that he writes. If you've listened to him in the past at all, you know this very well. Like, it almost feels like he goes out of his way to be as cryptic as possible, which isn't a bad thing. I enjoy it when he does it because he does it well. Anyways, let me know in the comments below if I missed anything because I'm almost certain I did. And let me know if I misinterpreted anything because that is also a very high possibility. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more breakdowns like this. And thank you for watching. Please stay safe out there.